Alrighty everyone, here we are. It is now June of 2020. We are now in the middle of this year, and ever since the release of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of fans have been very intrigued about exactly where everything is going for the Star Wars franchise by Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, and also exactly what kind of path we are going in right now for this massive franchise. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the one thing about Disney Star Wars is that we do know that, of course, Iger and Chapek are working together as a team. They're also working very closely with Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, George Lucas, you name it, to really provide the fans a better future for the Star Wars community and, of course, the Star Wars franchise as a whole. And that, I believe, is a more positive thing to look forward to. It really does tell us and pretty much spells a light at the end of the tunnel. It really does, in my opinion. Now, everything related to Disney Plus and the theatrical releases, one thing is for certain is that they really are trying to create this new EU, this new expanded universe, that they plan to actually become far larger than the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, this is really going to be a very hard task to complete without a doubt, and depending on how things really go and how they play their cards, it really does all depend, all down to it, on the Star Wars fans and how their feedback really is going to get mixed in with the actual content that is developed by Disney and Lucasfilm. So, with that being said, of course, we do know that Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm has been very incompetent as a leader. There's no doubt about this. A lot of fans would agree that, you know, she did a horrible job at The Last Jedi, the reshoots for The Rise of Skywalker, and even, of course, for Solo. Now, moving on, what's really intriguing is that Disney's Bob Chapek is described to be very involved with developing the backbone of the new Star Wars universe by hiring new creatives over at Lucasfilm and also promoting others, like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Now, currently they have over 10 years worth of Star Wars projects in the works for Disney Plus alone. They are now in a position where they are trying to fix what Kathleen Kennedy created problems with, and that many of her ideas are being erased and or cancelled. It's explained that the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, recently just cancelled many major projects that were being developed by Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy. Now, it's known that originally Kathleen Kennedy was going to bring back George Lucas's old TV series called Star Wars Underworld, where she was going to include tons of identity politics and personal agendas. Thankfully, Bob Chapek cancelled those ideas and is now allowing Star Wars Underworld to come back sometime in 2023 on Disney Plus or 24. Under, of course, George Lucas's vision with his help behind the scenes to make it as authentic as possible. Let me just say one thing right here, is that is the way to go. Star Wars Underworld, in case you guys didn't know this, was going to be a new TV series after the release of Revenge of the Sith by George. Kathleen Kennedy wanted to pick it up, except she wanted to actually focus more on identity politics and agendas in the resurrection of George's TV show. So, once again, thankfully, that version was cancelled by Bob Chapek, and they are now embracing of how George wants it to be made. Moving on. Now, not just that, but also Chapek is said to be the one responsible for canceling Star Wars: The High Republic, to the point where many story elements will be redone, and that this played a major role into why it was delayed, since he canceled Kathleen Kennedy's version of the new timeline, The High Republic, in Star Wars that will be explored in TV shows, books, and even video games to come in the near future. Bob Chapek also canceled many of the scripts for the Cassian Andor TV series not too long ago that had many of Kathleen Kennedy's ideas and what direction she wanted the show to go in. So once again, this really is a good move by Bob Chapek. It really seems like he knows what he's doing. And I think that this really does tell us that he cares about the Star Wars community and, of course, Disney as a company. Now, thankfully, that too was cancelled by Bob Chapek in order to save the Star Wars franchise moving forward, where this is best described as Chapek trying to create a positive image for himself for the Star Wars community to become a symbol as an individual, trying to put the Star Wars brand back together into one piece, and to reunite the Star Wars fans around the world, who are more than divided right now. Not just that, but also Chapek recently cancelled a major project by Kathleen Kennedy that was going to be an animated TV series like Star Wars Rebels, that was going to essentially reset the original trilogy of the Star Wars franchise. Chapek saw this as a disaster in the works and decided to bring it all to an end in order to prevent another wave of angry fans and a new backlash that would only harm and delay their path to making a more positive vision for the Star Wars universe. Now, it's known that Kathleen Kennedy plans to leave Lucasfilm sometime later this year, that will go into effect full sometime in early 2021, as well as Bob Iger leaving and letting Chaypek run everything by himself over at Disney as CEO. So let me just say, I mean, things really are starting to shape up. There's no doubt about this. We've seen a prime example of what Chaypek is trying to do. He's trying to do what George did, just creating authentic Star Wars stories that feel like Star Wars and fit the narrative. Pretty much kind of doing away with Kathleen Kennedy's agenda and throwing it in the trash. So like I've said before in the past, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night